grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life.
Welcome to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. With you live in studio on this studious Thursday afternoon. Sterling, good afternoon to you.
It's beautiful.
We have a great guest coming up a little bit later on in the show, former NBA world champion and also WNBA world champion. We don't want to slight the ladies. Mr. Paul Westhead will be joining us on the show. We'll talk about his new book. He was with us last month. We brought him back on. Let Mr. Sterling have a chance to have his round with them, as well as preview tomorrow's start of the NBA. Of course, it's preseason, but, want to get his thoughts on the upcoming NBA season and also his thoughts on ESPN as they released, the top 100 and the top two being LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And Sterling, I'll get with you about that in just a moment. But, of course, I want to look at tonight's game on Thursday, Thursday Night Football. You can catch that on our sister station on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'll be following up after the postgame show with the live edition of The Ship with Darren Smith as well later on tonight around 10:45 or so. But Sterling, this is a rematch of Super Bowl 53. The Los Angeles Rams are hosting the New England Patriots. Cam Newton last week only had 69 yards passing in their demolishing 45-0 win over the Los Angeles Chargers. Of course, the Rams they've been pretty good. They're 8-4. Number 3 right now in the NFC's playoff standings. Your thoughts as we look at tonight's game and who you going with?
Yeah, the Patriots are all of a sudden doing their Patriots thing where you think they're dead and they somehow show some life. I think it's a little bit too late for them to really make any noise and actually make the playoffs. It's probably too little too late. But they're still playing some good football right now, especially defensively. Cam Newton throws for 69 yards. And they put up 45 points. You're doing something right as a complete team. They're playing the Rams, who are pretty hot. Jared Goff has actually been better. I want to give him some credit because, I don't want to say I hate on Jared Goff. I think he's a very, average quarterback, but he's been playing well. He has some weapons. He's focusing in and keen on Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And that's really working out, focusing on those two guys. Well, the one thing I will say is the Patriots, what do they do best? They're cornerbacks. So this should be a fun matchup to watch. For me, I'm going to watch the cornerbacks against the wide receivers. I think the Rams take it this game. I'm trusting the Rams, but I think it's going to be an extremely close game. We talked before the show about what the money line was. And if I'm taking money line, I'm going Patriots. But if I'm going straight up winner, if I got to do a pick 'em, I'm going with the Rams.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I have the Rams winning tonight's game. The Patriots, they against the spread, or at least as it relates to the over-under, they are 0-4 they're 0-3 the last 3 weeks. Of course, they killed me last week.
So you're saying it's about time for them. They're due.
Well, here's the thing. Because what's interesting is that last week the over-under was 47.5. They had to get 48. I needed, both teams combined 48. I'm thinking it's okay. I can get 28-20. I didn't know I was going to get 45-0. I needed.
Pats did their job though.
Yeah, they did more than their job. But one thing that you mentioned about matchups, corners against the wide receivers. I'm looking at it more so from the Rams' point because I want to see who, of course, Jalen Ramsey's going to line up against. Could be Jacoby Myers, could be N'Keal Harry. I mean, obviously, Cam is probably not going to throw as much, or if he is, his completion is not going to be what you would think it would be. I think obviously they're going to try to run the ball a whole lot. Cam Newton, I believe, ran close to maybe, he
had a couple touchdowns. I mean, what the Patriots have done with Cam Newton is focus on his strengths.
Yeah.
And it's worked out recently. Once he had COVID, there was a immediate drop-off because they started off the season okay. With Cam Newton started off pretty solid. Then he gets COVID, lose to the Chiefs. And it took him about 3 games or so to get back to where he is now. He was really struggling. I don't know if it's because of COVID. I don't know if it's because he couldn't practice with the team. So he, first year in the system, he just was off. But this looks like a better fit going forward. Do you think Cam Newton's back next season in New England?
It depends on what's out there, because here's the thing: you know that the Jets are going to be looking to depart from Sam Darnold.
Mhm.
Is that a risk worth taking if you're New England? Because one thing that they don't like to pay players.
No.
And obviously you're getting Cam Newton on the cheap end right now. You're 6-6, so depending on how these last 4 games go, look, I do have them in one of my parlays as a plus 4.5, so they can still lose, but lose by field goal, not still win. But if they pull the upset, again, they're 7-6. Now I haven't looked at their schedule as I pull it up now.
They're still behind Miami. They're still behind the Bills, at least when it relates to the division.
Yeah,
but
I guess your point is, let's say they win out, even at 10-6. There's no guarantee that that's enough to get them in the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah, the extra spot really helps them this year. At least gives them a glimmer of a chance. They're not going undefeated. They got they got some tough games left in their schedule. For me, though, what's surprising is we're now seeing Cam Newton start to gel with the Pats' offense and team as a whole. Remember, they have a lot of guys that didn't play this year that opted out because of COVID.
I think most of them on the defensive side of the ball.
To an extent, we weren't saying the Patriots were tanking because we know Bill Belichick is not going to tank.
No.
But they may have thought they were going to be in a worse position than they currently were. They may have thought they're going to get a higher draft pick. You're not getting a high draft pick now. You're going to be right in the very middle, maybe even towards a little bit towards the back. And at that point, you're probably not going after a quarterback.
Well, here's the thing. If you're Bill Belichick and you look at the season this far, you could make an argument that they should be 8-4, because if Cam Newton goes to the outside, they win that game against the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. And we talk about him looking like the Cam of old. Well, Cam looked good to start the season off, because in that loss, I think he passed for almost 300 yards in that game, if not a little bit more. But just and ran for a couple of touchdowns. So I think that was probably his best game overall. And I think there was another game that they should have probably won but didn't, just based off of how things played themselves out. Again, at the end of the day, I do think the Rams will win because, one, they can get after the quarterback with just their front four.
Yeah.
You're going to have to account for Aaron Donald in tonight's game. And since he's going to be able to pull or draw the attention of 2 or 3 of your linemen, well, that's going to leave somebody open. And Jalen Ramsey's going to be on an island left alone with someone. So if you're the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams, you should be able to – there's no excuse for you not to, one, be able to get after Cam Newton, because Cam is going to hold the ball and he will give the ball up. If you trip him up or –
he fumbles, he throws interceptions. He's not the most careful with the football.
Yeah, and so this is a game that's right up the alley for the Los Angeles Rams. The flip side is it's Jared Goff, because you don't know which Jared. And again, we were picking some of these games before, and you don't know which quarterback play is going to show up. You don't know if you're going to get the Jared Goff that played against the Miami Dolphins, where they gave him so many turnovers and points that Miami blew them out the water, or if you're going to have the Jared Goff that showed up last week.
He's the off-brand version of Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins has higher peaks. I mean, me. Kirk Cousins tricks every single GM in the NFL. He tricks me, I feels like, on a weekly basis. Jared Goff seems slightly less variable than Kirk Cousins, with slightly less ceiling than he has. But Jared Goff is doing what Sean McVay tells him, and it's worked out. We know Sean McVay is a good head coach, at least offensively. It helps defensively when you have Jalen Ramsey, and you can just say, hey, Aaron Donald, take him 3 offensive linemen and still somehow get a sack. That's what he does. It's going to be a fun game to watch. This is there hasn't been a lot of fun Thursday night football games this year.
Well, no, I'd give you pushback. No, I think literally every Thursday game has been good.
Well, I'm saying this is one of the better
matchups.
Yeah. One of the better matchups. The Jets-Broncos game was unbelievable. That's not a game you went into it saying this is going to be fun. You had Brett Ripien, I think, playing in that game.
Gambling helps. I will admit, gambling does make the games more watchable. Not that I am encouraging people to get out there and gamble, but if you do, that's the way to keep interested. But before we go further, tight end Travis Kelce. Well, no, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Let's
go. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce has been named the Chiefs nominee for Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. That is presented by Nationwide. Of course, this is something that Travis, being from Cleveland Heights of Ohio, of course, he's a native. He's made his home here in Kansas City. This is a prestigious award. I believe 4 Chiefs players have won this award.
I'm pretty sure Colquitt has won it before. Dustin, I thought he won it in the past.
No, he was a nominee.
Was he just a nominee?
Yeah.
I for some reason I thought that he had won.
No, but
you pull it up.
No. I'm going to look at that, but I was going to ask you what your thoughts were on him becoming on, because what he will receive a $40,000 donation in his name from the NFL. It's in awesome. The charity of his choice.
To me, it's awesome, especially when you have. I've said it before about Patrick Mahomes, and I'll say it about Travis Kelce. It's so fun to have guys that make it easy to root for them. Guys who are not only great players on the field, but great guys off of the field. It makes it so fun as a Kansas City Chiefs fan saying, not only is he the best tight end in football, but he's also one of the best men in football. So, great for Travis Kelce, great for the organization. Let's hope he wins. And if he wins this, he's probably taking home a lot more hardware this year. You know me, I am on board for the Travis Kelce for Offensive Player of the Year. I think he's deserving. I think it's historic what he does or what he has been doing. So let's hope we get that.
Yeah, and I will say this. I'm hearing something. I guess
you're playing something, Darren.
It must be Eli.
Eli Manning playing in the background.
It's actually funny how it's coming through. But no, I'm counting. We have Willie Lanier. We had Lynn Dawson. They were some of the early recipients. And then, of course, we had Derek Thomas. And I know we had Will Shields, I believe it was.
Okay.
And so, and Brian Waters. So we've had 5.
Will Shields would have been a great person to have, too. I wish Will Shields would have been there. I love Will Shields. He's a great guy.
What do you mean?
Well, as far as Walter Payton Man of the Year, you said it was Brian Waters, not Will Shields.
No, both of them.
Oh, they both won?
Yeah.
Great.
No, I was
even better.
We have 5. I mentioned 4 earlier. Yeah. And I said Brian Waters made it 5th. But again, Dustin Colquitt was a nominee last year. So every team has a representative, and those are the 32 nominees, and then there's one.
I think he was I thought he got down to one of the final couple. That's why I thought Colquitt.
No. It's just.
So you're saying I'm wrong. I get it. I'm wrong, Darren. You can just say it. Just admit it. Just say, Sterling, you're wrong. I can handle it.
We know that. The audience knows that. It's if I say you're wrong, people might equate that, say, oh, you keep saying you're a loser. No.
You can't always be 100%. Come on. That's just crazy talk.
I mean, I'm close
Darren,
enough to
no, you're not.
I'm close.
And by the way, saying just close enough to 100% still isn't 100%.
Look, 11-1 is still close to 12-0. So, hey, if the Chiefs finish out 18-1, at least I was closest than everyone else.
I said 13-3. You said 16-0. We're close. Right now, we're in the middle. We're very close right now.
Closer than me. But also, congratulations. I know we mentioned it briefly, but LGT or LDT, the Chiefs offensive lineman, along with Patrick Mahomes, along with LeBron James, 2 others, and I feel real bad because I should have it pulled up right now, but they were named the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year for their activism. We got a chance again yesterday I got a chance to ask Patrick about it. Obviously, he's honored about it, for that, for his activism. One of the things that he has said that what's up next for him is, of course, trying to help invest in local Black businesses here in Kansas City. So, shout out, congratulations to him. But your thoughts on Patrick? Actually, to have 2 Chiefs players,
it's pretty cool.
that were named Sportsman of the Year.
Well, I want to shout out LDT because he was one of the first ones to say, I think he may have done it almost before the NFL decided what they were going to do with COVID. LDT came out and said, I'm going up and I'm going to work on the front lines to help stop the fight against COVID. And I think that was very impactful what he's done. I think he needs to get more recognition because he could have made millions of dollars playing football this season, but he said, no, I'm going to fight against COVID. And I think to me, that just speaks volumes about him as a person. And again, like I've gone back and said multiple times, it's fun having guys in Kansas City that are great human beings, both on and off the football field. It's so refreshing. It's not the Portland, jailblazers. You don't have guys getting in and out of trouble. It's not. Remember when Cincinnati Bengals and the Raiders had all these guys in and out doing.
I mean, Chiefs had them back in the day too with your boy Larry Johnson and a few others. So
but I'm just saying, it's kind of nice when you have guys who seem. It just makes it very easy to root for.
Oh yeah, and look, Lorraine Duvernay Tardif and LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, and then the other two ladies, Brianna Stewart and Naomi Osaka. So definitely don't want to leave them out and say congratulations out to them. LeBron James also was named Time Athlete of the Year earlier today. So he's win the world championship. Doesn't win the MVP, but he's got some more hardware.
Yeah.
That's going up on the shelf.
One thing I do want to touch on really quick. We got a question on Facebook.
Yeah, okay.
I want to ask Paul this too when he comes on, because I want Paul to give us a honest answer in the NBA. What is the NBA scared to have a team in Kansas City? Because the Kings were here for how many years? Not a long time. They went to Sacramento.
They were here for at least a decade.
Probably about 10 years. And they had...
If we do need I didn't ask about that, about his time coming to Kansas City. Yeah.
And they had relative success. The Kings, they weren't some bottom feeder. They made it to the playoffs.
Oh, we had some ball players here now. We had some hoopers.
I told you. My old basketball coach, Scott Wedman, he was an all-star here for the Kings. So I want to ask him about that. But my main question to him, just before we get Paul on here, is I don't know if the NBA is scared to have a team in Kansas City. I think Kansas City will be one of the teams. It's a team along with Seattle. I'm still riding that boat hard. One of the issues that could be concerning, there is such a rabid fan base for college basketball. Will it be enough to translate to the NBA?
That's a very good question. I'll let you take that call right quick. I will say that the reason why that we don't have and why they chose Tampa, it is Tampa, Florida. All things being equal, they already have obviously the NHL team there. They also have, of course, just great weather. And if you're an NBA player, you're going to be stuck here in the wintertime. Would you rather be down in Florida or would you rather be in Kansas City? So, in that respects, that's my deal. So, we'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll be joined by Paul Westhead. Keep it locked in. This is Darren Estola here on ESPN Kansas City.
Stuck at home? Make home more fun for the family with Family Leisure. Family Leisure has a huge selection of pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, pool tables, fire pits, massage chairs, grill islands, basketball goals, and more. Call us to find out about free no-contact delivery or free curbside service. 913-888-7727. Locally owned and serving Kansas City for over 25 years. Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with Stain Shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to 50% depending on sheen selected. Platinum Plus keeps your walls looking new longer. Menards and Dutch Boy paint have you covered. Go ahead, live your life.
Big savings with Hy-Vee and the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, this is Nate Bucati. Big points mean big savings. Just shop Hy-Vee the day after a game and score fuel saver discounts equal to the number of points the Chiefs score and the amount you spend. Cheer on the Chiefs and watch your fuel discount grow with every point they score. Get out your Fuel Saver Plus Perks card and score the savings the day after every Chiefs game only at Hy-Vee. Discount offer with qualifying purchase only. Fuel savings limited to 20 gallons. Some restrictions apply. See store for details. Hey, Chiefs Kingdom, are you hosting a game day watch party? Save time and impress guests with the Hy-Vee Homegate Packs. Take home tailgating with all the variety you are searching for. From Kansas City barbecue to all your favorite appetizers, pizza and wings, or even a taco bar. Stop by your local Hy-Vee today to browse all the Hy-Vee Homegate meal pack options for your next watch party. Homegating, made easy by Hy-Vee.
Another reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is a cash-out refinance? It's doing a cannonball from your porch.
Watch out!
That new car smell. A new college graduate in the family.
With a BA in business and a minor in medieval Renaissance poetry.
Reading the words, paid in full.
Did it!
At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it for our customers. Right now, rates are at a low 2.5%. Call 913-890-GOLD or visit us online at goldenoaklending.com and talk with an experienced local loan officer who will guide you every step of the way. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
LMC Truck, located right here in Kansas City, offers quality parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks, SUVs, and vans. At lmctruck.com, their website features the same detailed interactive artwork as the catalog. Restoring old memories or just getting started on new ones, LMC Truck is here to help. They are more than just parts. Trucks are a lifestyle. They understand that. LMC Trucks helps you live it. Just go to lmctruck.com. LMC Truck, keeping generations on the road.
All right, back on the show. Of course, I'm joined by Mr. Sterling Holmes, co-host of Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City. With us now on the phone is former NBA and WNBA world champion head coach Paul Westhead joining us. Paul, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
Doing well. Of course, Paul is the author of The Speed Game, My Fast Times in Basketball. Of course, it was released back in November. Hopefully you all have gotten a chance to pick it up. But Paul, for people who may not know where to get it from, could you please let them know where they can pick up your book?
Well, it was first available through Amazon.com and now Barnes & Noble and a lot of, book outlets now have the book, I'm sure.
Now, Paul, I am going to allow Sterling to ask a couple questions because he didn't get a chance to talk with you last time we had you on. So Sterling, go ahead.
First, Paul, Sterling here. Actually, when I played basketball with some AAU, we used to run a very similar system to yours, the run and gun style. And the funny thing was, it was actually a Boston Celtics coach that was my head coach. So Lakers Celtics rivalry there. It was Scott Wedman. Don't know if you ever had a chance to.
Sure.
Yeah, that's who taught me that. So that was kind of a little funny antidote right there.
Yeah, well, Scott, I remember coaching against Scott Wedman. He could shoot the ball from any range. He'd be good in my fast break, but I don't think I ever associate my system or style with the Celtics.
Yeah. So, but just kind of touching on that, how did you come up with this? Why did you go with the run and gun, and why did you call it the system?
Well, I kind of stumbled into it. I was coaching at LaSalle University in the 70s, and I ran into a coach named Sonny Allen from Old Dominion, and he was a fast break coach, and he gave me his pattern, and he said, "Now I want to warn you, you got to be a little crazy to do this." And I said, "Well, I qualify." And then I spent summers in the 70s down in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I ran into most of the players who loved to run and shoot down there, so we kind of figured things out together, and that got me going as a fast break coach. And once you're bit by this running style, you go back and play normal basketball.
So I'm curious, Paul. When you started that system, was it more so of a fact that your team wasn't good defensively, where you would try to just run the pace up and down the floor to try to get the other team winded or whatever, or how did that work? Because when I was in high school, we didn't run that run and gun offense because we were feeling like, well, they can't play any defense, which is why they're trying to run up and down the court. So we would always try to slow the game down.
Well, that's the normal adage. I mean, most people who say nice things about me say, "Oh yeah, he's a fast break guy. He taught his teams how to shoot 3-pointers and all that." And defensively, I don't hit the top 1,000. But we actually, in the 80s at Loyola Marymount, we actually played full court defense that was tenacious and tough and hard nosed. And to be honest, we worked harder on our defense than we did our offense because we knew we were going to shoot fast. We had to do things to make the other team shoot fast.
I'm also curious, during, when you were coaching in the NBA, obviously you see teams like the Houston Rockets, or at least you see James Harden, and of course,
Mike D'Antoni, wherever Mike D'Antoni coaches.
and teams like the Golden State Warriors. Did you feel like you may have missed an opportunity to emphasize more on the 3-point shooting during your time as an NBA head coach?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the 3-point shot now is, a premium. Every, especially NBA team, 1 through 5, whether you're a point guard or you're a 7-foot center, you're going to shoot threes. So, I didn't do that, but we wanted to shoot as quickly as we could get any shot. So we wanted to shoot within 5 seconds of possession. So if that happened to be a layup or a little 12-foot runner, we did it. But if it happened to be, one of my shooting guards in the corner making threes, okay. But we didn't emphasize the 3. We emphasized the quick shot whenever it happened.
Paul Westhead joined us on the show today. Of course, he's a former NBA and WNBA world champion head coach, also the author of The Speed Game, My Fast Times in Basketball, which you can get on Amazon.com and your Barnes & Noble store.
How much validation does it give you looking at the current landscape of the NBA? And it seems like almost every single organization is going more with this type of method. Does it pretty much validate everything that you did early on?
Yeah, I would like to take some credit, but to be honest, I don't see a lot of my style of fast break in the NBA. The closest was Mike D'Antoni when he was with the Phoenix Suns, and he had Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire. And you mentioned James Harden. James Harden, he could run my fast break, but for the most part, he likes to go at his pace and control the game at a slower pace. So I don't really see a lot of fast break. In the NBA Finals, I saw Anthony Davis sprint out for the Lakers and run some fast break lanes and get open dunks ahead of the defense. But it's mostly a more controlled, slower game.
I do want to get your thoughts on the upcoming NBA season, but this is a question that I've always been wanting to ask you. Obviously, you got a chance to coach Magic his rookie year. You got a chance to coach Kareem and won a world title with him. How do you think your style later on, I guess in the 80s, how do you think you would have fit in, or would you think you would have had to adjust your coaching style if you would have had a chance to coach a Larry Bird or even a Michael Jordan in the 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, that's a tough question. And in the book, I talk about I had 20 coaching jobs and I got fired in 14 of them. So I might have been one of those rare coaches who had a Larry Bird or Michael Jordan and got fired because I had Kareem and Magic and I got fired. So I probably wouldn't have been that much different. You see, there are special players in all sports, and particularly in basketball, and you alluded to Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. They can play any pace or any style. So it's really hard for them to want to commit to speed at a maximum every possession when they can go slower and do it. So if you're Michael Jordan, why would I play fast, coach, when I can just take my time and score? So that's a hard sell.
Is there any player you wish you would have had? Like for me, I'm picturing Wes Unseld and those outlet passes would have thrived. Is there any player that you wish would have played in your system?
It's funny you say Wes Unseld. I saw him give a demonstration where he got a defensive rebound and threw the ball before he landed on his 2 feet and hitting the opposite backboard. That's what you call outlet passing at its max. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of players. I mean, I had a cup of coffee in Oklahoma City with Russell Westbrook. Yeah, I would love to coach Russell right now because he's the perfect point guard for my speed game. He puts his head down and he goes 100 miles an hour every time he gets the ball. And
he
I would
might not
love
pass it
Anthony
now.
Davis.
He
Yeah.
might not pass it.
Yeah, well, he might not pass it. And that's interesting. The point guard in my system, his job was to go as fast as you can and find an open teammate. And if they weren't open, keep going. So for the most part, the point guard was looking to pass.
Question for you. I know it's easy to say Kareem, and it's easy to say Magic, and if those are the answers, those are the answers. But who would you say in your entire career is the best player that you've ever coached? And that's a combination of what they were able to do on the court, off the court, leadership, locker room type.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Certainly Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson are in that conversation. This person would not take a back seat because of her gender, but Diana Taurasi is going to be sitting right there. She can play with the best of them, men or women. And certainly from my LMU days, Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball certainly fit that category. They were just great players for me.
So okay, so I got to follow with that. Please tell us. I've seen YouTube games and I was old enough to watch some games, but for our younger audience, please explain to them just how great Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball were.
Well, yeah, I mean, they changed my coaching career. They transferred to LMU, and we went from 90 points a game to 122 points a game. And they, along with Corey Gaines, were the reason. Bo was just a guy who just wanted to take any shot that he could get his hands on, inside, outside, didn't matter. Hank was much more dedicated to getting the ball into the lane and scoring over top of you and just defying you. We had a game against LSU with Shaquille O'Neal, and Hank had his first 5 shots blocked. And at a timeout, most players would want to go to the locker room and hide. He said to me and the team, "Get me the ball." And he wound up in that game with 45 points and 25 rebounds. So there is no stopping Hank Gathers.
How were you able to like even find players like that could play in your system, or were they already there when you got there? So let me ask that question.
Well, no, I had a couple of players. I had a shooting guard named Jeff Fryer, but for the most part, I didn't have the real talented fast break players. That they came to me as transfers. Gathers and Kimball came from USC. Corey Gaines came from UCLA. Tom Peabody came from Rice. So I just said, "This is how we're going to play, guys." And they said, "We've been waiting for this." So it was the perfect meeting of players and coach.
Where was your favorite stop to coach? Was it, I mean, you've been NBA, WNBA, NCAA, WNCAA. Where is your favorite stop?
It's funny. All of them were favorite stops, although a lot of those stops I got fired. But kind of ironically, one of my favorite stops was when I was a high school coach back in Pennsylvania at Cheltenham High. And the combination of being a teacher and coach, I taught American Lit during the day, and then I coached basketball in the afternoon. I loved my players. We went 26-0 in my last year and went to the state finals. It's almost like, Indiana basketball all over again. And the final thing that made me remember them is years later, that team, the high school kids, invited me back for a reunion. And it's the only team I ever coached that invited me back.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Well, that's awesome, but that's also sad
saying
too.
something.
Yeah, that's sad too that they were willing to invite you back. So I'm curious when you mentioned before that not too many teams do the run and gun style offense except for maybe a Mike D'Antoni. But why do you think that is? I mean, especially when it's been proven to have success, where you've gone either before or after.
Yeah, well, the answer is very simple. You assemble a team. You have 12 players, and you say you want to run, and they all raise their hands, say, "Hey, yeah, coach, this is great. We like fast break." And then about a week into practice, the 12 players have a meeting, players only meeting, and say, "We don't want to do this stuff anymore." The answer is that running fast break over and over, relentless for the entire game, is very, very hard to do. And therefore, players instinctively gravitate to the easier way. They would rather play pick and choose. I'll run, then I'll take my time. Then I'll run, and I'll take my time. So to run all the time is too hard a pill to take.
I noticed, at least in the college game, I went to University of Missouri. Mike Anderson, when he was at Mizzou, he ran a little bit, the fastest 40 minutes in basketball. Then he went to Arkansas and did a similar style of basketball. Have you noticed any other coaches, whether it's NBA, WNBA, NCAA, use this more often?
Yeah, and I knew Mike, and Mike did a terrific job, and we've chatted about that. He, like a lot of other coaches, are smarter than me. You see, he figured out how to do the break, and when it didn't work, he did other things. When I ran the break and it didn't work, I tried to go faster, and then I got fired. So, there aren't a lot of coaches out there. I mean, because you really put yourself at risk. If you do something like this and you don't win, you look bad. And coaches at all levels don't want to look bad, so therefore they avoid things like relentless fast break. They know they could be exposed.
Paul Westhead joined us on the show, author of The Speed Game, My Fast Times in Basketball. Paul, when you look at thus far what you've seen college basketball, what has been your thoughts, for these last couple of weeks with the start of the college basketball? What's your takeaway that you've seen? Yeah,
I mean, I have such empathy for these programs and these teams. They're struggling to practice. They're struggling to get games, and then games get canceled. I mean, like Gonzaga, number one in the country, and they go to play games and it gets canceled. So I know they're under hard times, and they just have to adapt and do the best they can. But it really skews the system. It looks more at times like summer league, where players are just, showing up in the gym and playing the games because there's no fans, there's no excitement. So hopefully things will get better, and hopefully by tournament time, the game will be alive and well.
So one thing that we got asked on Facebook Live, it was a question about Kansas City and the NBA coming to Kansas City. The city had a team for about a decade or so, and they weren't necessarily bottom dwellers. They made it to the playoffs a few times. Do you think Kansas City will ever get an NBA team back?
Yeah, I hope so. I was coaching the Lakers when there was a team in Kansas City. I can remember fondly going there and coaching against Cotton Fitzsimmons. And we had some terrific games. But Kansas City is a little bit like my last stop in the NBA, Seattle. Seattle was one of the last teams to lose a franchise, and both are terrific professional cities, and hopefully Kansas City and Seattle will once again return to the NBA.
Do you have any good stories of when you coached against the Kings when you came to Kansas City?
Yeah, well, I know when I was new in the league and nobody talked to me, and Cotton finally came over and said, "Well, we don't talk to you because you're a rookie, and we really like Jack McKinney, who is hurt. You're just replacing him. So don't feel so bad that nobody."
Taking it out on you like you had something to do with it. Paul Westhead joined us on the show, of course, former NBA and WNBA world champion head coach. What do you look forward to in this upcoming NBA season? I know preseason starts on Friday, and of course the season starts on the 22nd with a slate of games on Christmas Day. What are you looking forward to in this upcoming NBA season? Like, who do you see winning?
Yeah. Well, my home now and for many years now has been in the Los Angeles area. So even though the Lakers fired me, I'm still in Lakerland. So, and it's pretty hard to think of anybody can beat them now, because when you have two healthy, vibrant superstars and LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you can go out and get three guys off the street and still win most of your games, because that's what it takes to win a championship. You need two superstars, so you can't focus on any one. But beyond the Lakers, I'm kind of interested in what's going to happen in Brooklyn. I like Steve Nash. I like the way he played. He's got Kevin Durant there, who I coached in Seattle. So they could make a move. Brooklyn could move up in the world of basketball.
But if you're Steve Nash, who's never coached a day in his life, how do you think he's going to do with that transition? I know it's easy to say, you got Kevin Durant, you got Kyrie Irving, you just kind of let them do what they do on the court. But when it gets tight late in the ball games, how do you think he's going to make that transition as an NBA head coach?
Well, my quick advice to him would be, do not overcoach them. And I think he's smart enough. He's a former great NBA player. The one thing that professional players do not like is when you try and show them how smart you are and,
right.
How you have better plays than they've ever seen in their life. And they just look at you like, coach, just give me the ball and I'll show you the best play you ever see in your life. So I think Nash will be smart enough to cover that. And the good news is he has at his side a very experienced Mike D'Antoni, who can help him in tight squeezes at the end of the game. Rather than have me, because I would say, hey, Steve, when in doubt, let's run it fast. D'Antoni has figured it out to do the smart thing and slow it down.
Paul, you are nothing short of a genius, and I just love your style. One last question for unless Dylan has one before we get out of here. The Los Angeles Clippers, I know you talked about the Lakers, but look, the Clippers, they made the investment to get Kawhi Leonard. They just signed Paul George to a 4-year contract extension to keep him there. How do you think they're going to do? I mean, do you think that they are built mentally to overtake the Los Angeles Lakers? Obviously, LeBron James, Anthony Davis are going to be here for a few more years as well. Do you think they have the talent and the wherewithal? I know they have the coach, but do they have the talent and the mental capacity to overtake the Lakers to win the NBA championship this year?
Well, I think they have all of the ingredients. Tyronn Lue, who I actually coached in with the Orlando Magic, is a terrific young man and will do a great job coaching. And Kawhi Leonard, I mean, my goodness, over the last 2 or 3 years, is there anyone better than him, especially at crunch time?
LeBron James.
The problem with the Clippers, and everyone in LA knows it, they're snake bit.
Yeah.
It's just one of those teams that, no matter what happens, when it gets to this crucial moment, in like Game 6, they stumble and lose. So they have to get over that. And the only way they're going to get over that is to get back into the playoffs and win a big series.
I know you say that you're still in the LA area. Do you still have a relationship with Jenny Buss and the family, or do you still go to Lakers games when pre-COVID or what?
Yeah, well, I'd like to get to a Laker game, but I don't have $3,000 a ticket, so they're hard. It's a hard ticket to get. I stay in touch with some of the players. Kareem, I stay in touch with. I've had conversations with Magic. I have not had conversation with Jeannie Buss. She was a 13-year-old teenage girl when I was there with the Lakers, and she'd be in her dad, Jerry Buss's office hanging out. But all's good. I'm happy for the Lakers, and as you alluded, maybe the Clippers will come around and knock them off.
So I do want to ask you this before we let you out of here. In hindsight, if there were things that you feel now that you could do differently, I guess, or the relationship between you and Magic differently, do you feel that you would have still been a Lakers coach, up until the 90s? I mean, have you had a chance to reflect on what might have went wrong then that you think that had you been able to correct before it got to that point that you would have, stayed there a little bit longer with the Lakers?
Yeah, well, there were two things. The one, I had an incident with Magic in Salt Lake City at a game which I didn't think he was listening to my advice about defensive coverage, and we barely won the game. And after the game, I took Magic aside personally and told him of my displeasure, and so that I didn't say it in front of the team. And the next day, I was fired by Jerry Buss. So you can assume that that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a little bit unfair because I think the Lakers, for other reasons, were not happy with my coaching performance. Although we were on a 5-game winning streak when I got fired. Not too many professional coaches that get fired with a winning streak.
Or 111-50 record. I think most teams would take that.
Yeah, but the bigger issue, and I will take the credit for this, I tried to make that team run faster than they wanted to run. And upon reflection, if I wanted to remain the Laker coach and win another championship, and as my wife said, one more championship and we'd have a house with a view, I should not have tried to play so fast. So if I had to go back, I know I probably should have slowed down, but at the end of the day, I'm going to knock your socks off. I wouldn't slow down.
Paul Westhead, this will not be the last time we have you on the show. It is always a pleasure. It sounds like we learn something new every time we have you on. Paul Westhead, the former WNBA, NBA head, world champion head coach, author of The Speed Game, My Fast Times in Basketball. Any final thoughts?
Well, no, I appreciate you fellas having me on. My book is just an attempt to say once and for all, if you're going to play fast and you're going to defend full court, it's a magical time, but cuidado, be careful. You could get fired.
I know those are great final words. We'll take a quick time out here on the show.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
Are you looking for unique sporty clothing and merchandise that makes you stand out from the crowd? Do you love Kansas City sports teams? The Cherry Company designs and creates fashion-forward gear for athletes, avid sports fans, and everything in between. Check out our famous Casey Mahomes denim jacket at cherrysportsgear.com or find it in stores in the Made in KC, Lee Summit, or Plaza location. Sport styles, sport local, sport Cherry. Want a 20% off discount? Mention 810 Sports in store or use code 810 online. Stay on top and visit cherrysportsgear.com today.
Hey, Soren Petro here. Why settle for pre-sliced meats and dry bread when you can get sliced to order? Meats piled high on soft, fresh baked bread. Founded right here in Lenexa, Kansas, Good Sense has been doing things the right way since they began. Good Sense has been a Kansas City classic for over 30 years. They've mastered the craft of soft bread by preparing and baking their signature bread twice each day. They slice all their meats and cheeses by hand to make sure that your sandwich tastes fresh. They don't do these things because they're easy. They do them because it's what tastes best. Good Sense also offers toasted subs, pastas, my daughter's absolute favorite, and even kids' meals too. And their delicious giant cookies make the perfect dessert. Find the Good Sense location closest to you at goodsense.com. Sandwich lovers in KC have chosen Good Sense for over 30 years, not because it's easy, but because it's better. No nonsense, just good sense.
Whether you're a seasoned pitmaster or backyard griller, how would you like to up game day tailgate to the MVP level? Huge Mike's, a Kansas City original, will show you how to go huge this season with an award-winning lineup of barbecue seasonings and sauces. Kick off with Roll Over and Rub It, an all-everything seasoning. Sweet, savory, and low in sodium, it's great on anything from popcorn to pork and everything in between. Check out HugeMikes.com today. Go huge with Huge Mikes.
Do you want to live in an exciting, walkable location in City Center, Lenexa? The Lofts at 87th and 435 offer 65 boutique apartments, heated parking garage, ultra-high-end finishes, and great amenities such as a pool, hot tub, fitness center, pet spa, bike repair station, fire pits, barbecue grills, putting green, dog run, and much more. At the Lofts, walking to great restaurants and all that City Center has to offer is easy. Go to theloftscc.com.
Thank you, Kansas City, for wrapping your arms around Giving the Basics mission to provide hygiene products and cleaning supplies to those in need. You've helped us stabilize the community. Whether you volunteered, attended an event, or made a donation, for you, we are grateful. With the holidays here, we are dedicated to getting supplies to struggling families, children, and senior citizens. Please visit givingthebasics.org to donate. We'll take it from there and get hygiene products and cleaning supplies into the hands of those in need. Visit givingthebasics.org today. Thank you.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City. Quick announcement for those of all who don't know that KU Texas football game in Lawrence has been canceled due to a rash of COVID cases down at the University of Texas. So because of that, my guy Sterling and I might have to have you all meet us over at Tracy's Kitchen Soul Food and Catering as they partner with Show Me Fish and Chicken to bring Raytown and surrounding areas a new taste and flavor of soul food for your weekend craving. Will and Tracy also have your game day treats to your Sunday dinner eats. Come and get that Southern style comfort food that's cooked from the heart and prepared from the soul with some old and new fashioned takes on homemade comfort food that will have you coming back for more. Come on down to 5220 Blue Ridge Boulevard for soul food weekends, Saturdays 2 to 6 p.m. and Sundays 12 to 5 p.m. Give them a call at 816-447-1098. Now, I'm about to see some pictures of them because she took some pictures of what would be comparable to, I guess you would say, a tray over at Gates. He had a nice couple slab of ribs.
Like a little mixed plate type.
Oh, man. No. I'm talking about like a tray.
Oh, you're getting big with it. You're getting you're talking president style over here.
I'm trying to tell you, it looked good. I had the barbecue chicken and the beef. I said, okay, I might have to hit her up. So hopefully, I know she's listening, I know she's watching. I'll be there Saturday. I need some ribs. So
man,
just putting it out there
down.
like that.
I'm down. We'll make a trip over there.
Oh, we are. Obviously, Paul Westhead.
That was awesome.
First of all, I love talking to him because you can tell he's someone that almost 30 years later, he's still actually almost 40 years later, he ain't got over that fire.
He's not over. The thing
38 years later, he's still salty about that thing.
But the thing is, you got to put him in the same boat as a Tex Winter. Someone who created the triangle offense. He created this run and gun style. And if you want to think about it in this way, he really helped change the NBA because multiple teams started getting to what he was doing. And you could say a similar thing happened in the 60s, but then he took it to another level because what was it, 1962, same year Oscar Robertson averaged, same year Wilt averaged 50 and 25. Elgin Baylor had 36, 18, and 5. What Paul Westhead did, and I wish I would have asked him this, if he got any of his inspiration from that couple-year era, you may not have the best defensive team, but you work with what you got and you make the most of it, and that's what he did for so long. And now you're seeing teams in the NBA, a little tweak of it, but still using a similar style of what he originated.
When he talked about players, having players meetings, again, it goes to show these are different cut of players than what took place than what was back there during his era, because it's one thing if you got Magic Johnson, Kareem, if they have a players meeting and they're like, man, we don't want to run this, so you run this too fast, as he mentioned. If he just a little bit, he'd probably still be there. Versus players, just because they got these big massive contracts, just don't like you because they feel like they can get you fired because they make so much money, but none of them have won. A LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, okay, I get it. To an extent, Russell Westbrook, I get it. But if you're Minnesota, some of these other teams, no, I need to run this offense. I need to whip you into shape.
It was crazy to me getting fired, going 111-50 as your record. I mean, you're sitting there going, what more do you want? I won a championship my first year here. I go 111-50, and then you're going to fire me. I mean, it's one of those things where the NBA is just so different than a lot of other sports where your stud guy, Magic Johnson, basically makes the rules.
He snitched on. Well, look, whatever that conversation was, he went to the owner.
You still see it now with LeBron James. He wants Tyronn Lue. You're getting Tyronn Lue. You want him gone? He's gone. NBA is the one sport where one guy can really decide what's going to happen.
Yeah, but he didn't get Tyronn Lue, though, in Los Angeles.
No, but my point is, if he truly wanted him that bad, I think LeBron could have got him.
The only why I disagree with that is because I think because of all that went through with that, had he finished out the season, because he got hurt, had he finished out the season, I would give you that argument. But because he didn't, it's like you really ain't got a leg to stand on, and they're going to try to put you in your place. Like, no, LeBron, we run this team, blah blah blah, with the whole Magic, and it was such a mess that they didn't have anything to do. I will say this once again: make sure you tune in tonight, Sports Radio 18 WHB, as we carry the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Rams game. I'll be on later on tonight with after the post game show with the ship where Darren Smith will. For those of all who want to hear it again, we'll replay this interview with Paul Westhead. I'll also be joined by Fox Sports Radio's Kelsey Nicole Nelson as we'll talk about Alex Smith. She covers the Washington football team.
That'll be good.
So we'll talk in depth about Alex Smith and company as well. So we'll be back tomorrow with our weekly picks, and we'll also preview, of course, the start of the NBA. So until then, please wear a mask, social distance, stay safe. Until tomorrow, I'm Darren Smith for Sterling Homes, Darren and Sterling, here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. We're out of here.